Good evening and welcome to another episode of Black Sheep Rising, your weekly dose of late night liberty, coming to you straight from Keene, New Hampshire. My name is Conan Salada, and joining me, Daryl W. Perry.
What's up?
And, of course, Joseph Mirzos.
Hello.
Sir, thank you very much for being on.
You're welcome. Love to.
Later on in the evening, hour two, we're going to be talking about Bible code, which is one of your, could I say passions, maybe?
Yes. Areas of research and a passion, yes.
Excellent, excellent. So stay tuned for that. We're going to get to some old Keene news and stuff. Anything happened this week in good old snowy, snow-filled Keene this week?
I made history today.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about this historic occasion.
What is most likely the first automobile transaction in New Hampshire in which Bitcoin was used for the purchase of said vehicle. I sold my car to a new mover from... he moved from Chicago, arrived in Manchester yesterday, and he bought my car this morning with Bitcoin.
Yeah, Robert is a regular Black Sheep watcher, viewer, listener.
Yes.
He pitches in and lets us know what we're doing wrong and what we're doing right. Good news. So it's too bad he moved to Manchester, of course. He could have come here to...
Well, the job that he has, he was able to transfer... And I guess they had an opening in Manchester, and he was able to move there.
Yeah, that's the way that works.
And he told me that since he's moving from a state that had a fairly high state income tax, he's basically making a pay raise equal to what he's buying the car for.
Wow. So how did the transaction go? Was it smooth?
Yes.
Both of you guys are familiar with the Bitcoin process, and it was a...
Yes. Yeah, so just wrote up a bill of sale that had a provision in there for, the buyer will send X amount of US dollars or an equivalent in Bitcoin. And it had the QR code on the bill of sale / contract.
Do you mess around with the old Bitcoin, Joe?
I don't have any yet.
Yet?
No. I had a Facebook friend from high school asked me last March.
If you knew anything about it?
Yes, and I did know a little bit about it. It was $30 at the time.
Yeah.
But did I invest? No. Nope.
Have you seen the Google, if Google was a man video? And of course there's one guy and all he's asking is, what's Bitcoin? What's Bitcoin at? How do I invest in Bitcoin? So
I have no clue what you're talking about.
We're going to have to bring that up. Maybe, yeah. So what else happened? Any other historical news? Anything with the ducks?
I don't understand the people that are infatuated with this fucking duck bullshit. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about with the duck bullshit, and I guess technically wouldn't it be duck shit? But anyway, there was some state rep who supposedly, maybe, possibly ran over some ducks. There was a 911 call by somebody saying that this guy with state rep license plates ran over some ducks, and I think he killed some ducks.
Right.
But there's never been a duck body that has been photographed as this is one of the ducks that was killed. The hotel has never come out and said some of our ducks are missing. So that there are no bodies of dead ducks.
Right.
And I think that the reason a lot of people are even paying attention to this is because the guy that supposedly ran over some ducks is a state rep.
And a Democrat.
And I think, well, that's the reason some of the people, I guess you could say, in our circle that are so up in arms about it, the reason they care is because this guy's a Democrat. If this guy were a Republican, they would be trying to suppress this. And any news report from WMUR, see, they're just trying to make Republicans look bad. No, they're trying to make dumbasses look like dumbasses. But anyway, if a duck is dead, show me a dead duck body.
Yeah, but they don't.
I want to see the body.
Yeah, but they go crawl off in the woods.
Not if they get smashed flat by a fucking car.
I think
If you're an oil spot in the middle of the fucking parking lot of the Crown Plaza Hotel in Nashua, New Hampshire, you're not able to crawl into the pond.
I think
Stop yelling at me!
that you are peeking out over here and you're getting irate over some old ducks.
because people fucking care too much. If ducks died, show me a fucking dead duck. If no ducks died, then fucking drop it.
Yeah, but all right, yeah. But I mean, if it was the case, what would you feel about it? So if there were some dead ducks, how would you feel about a guy just losing his mind, if you will, and just speeding through a hotel parking lot?
Speeding at 15 miles an hour.
That's the limit, but we don't know what he was going.
You know what the question?
No, that's what witnesses said.
All right, but we also don't know. Didn't he disappear? And
Yes.
the issue was whether
He got out of the car
intoxicated or not.
and
he was
yelled at
intoxicated.
somebody.
He was most definitely intoxicated.
You don't know that. You weren't there. Did you perform a fucking breathalyzer on the guy?
I would have done the same thing if I ran over some ducks. I would have gone and hit out, and then I have one of my buddies call in and say, "Hey, look, can we bring him in the morning?" Which is exactly what happened.
So what I've read and seen and heard, there was one guy that called 911. Supposedly, there were a bunch of people feeding the ducks, but only one person called 911, and this was the same guy that had a shouting match with the state rep, yelling, "Why'd you run over the ducks?" And the guy was, I forget what the state rep supposedly said.
Fuck you, and fuck you! Who's next?
Probably. And then the guy yelled at him, "Well, the cops are on the way." And he was like, "Whatever," and he left.
He said the ducks should have moved out of the way. That's what the guy said.
Wow.
Probably. They probably should have, but that's still... If you did run through the thing of ducks... You know,
It's pretty cold.
here's my question. And Conan and Joe, I want both of you to answer. Have you ever been driving through a parking lot and there's a bunch of pigeons in the middle of the parking lot?
Oh, yeah.
Do you just drive and pigeons will instinctively move?
You do?
Or do you sit there and wait on all of the pigeons to move?
Gotta wait.
I keep on driving, but I don't like speed up or like swerve to try to hit them.
Is there any evidence that this guy sped up from 10 to 15 miles an hour and swerved to supposedly hit a duck?
There is no
that may or
evidence.
may not have ever died because nobody's shown a dead duck carcass.
There is no evidence, but I can imagine. So if I can imagine it, it must be true.
I can imagine
just like unicorns and dragons are true.
coming
yes.
out of my butt when I take a shit. It doesn't mean that it actually happens.
But it could be. But it could happen. But it could happen one day.
only if there were some unicorn eggs up in my lower intestine.
Once you upload to the Matrix, anything will be possible. Yes, you can fart out unicorns. You know. Yes.
So-
we'll. Anyways.
Much like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and the Abominable Snowman, I want conclusive proof that these ducks are dead.
Who? Well, Wookiees are real though. So how do they compare with abominables? Are they the same
There's
thing?
pictures of Wookiees.
But are they the same family? Are they like cousins?
No.
They're not the same.
Wookiees live on fucking Endor or some shit.
Yeah, one of those tree planets or whatever. So, all right, so
If Chewbacca is a Wookiee, you must acquit.
so basically, we're not going to watch this video because the bottom line is there's no proof. His
No
buddy,
proof.
And it's just
And
one.
yes, he did have somebody with the police department try to cover for him.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal.
Right, but
This
Pretty much anybody with some kind of connection is going to try having their buddy cover up for them.
this sleazy looking guy right here. Who is he? The police commissioner? He's the
Probably.
he's the big guy, Tom Pappas.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you brought up a good point though, that the Republicans and the Democrats fighting their everlasting eternal war, their made up wrestling match war. They're gonna cling to whatever they can get their hands on, and they're just like
Could this state rep have handled the situation better? Absolutely.
they're just like monkeys in the zoo throwing shit at each other, their own shit.
Yeah.
It's just
Only these monkeys wear suits and ties.
but they're both monkeys in a cage though.
But these monkeys wear suits and ties. That's the difference.
That's the only difference. Speaking of stupid animals, Joe, it sounds like your dog is dumber than mine.
Actually, I have a pretty smart dog, but he eats everything, except he's not very hungry right now.
That's pretty wild.
Hold on. Hold that up for the camera. I don't think they could see you playing with that.
Yeah, that's the one right there. So anyways,
This is a
Please
Nisoc.
don't.
Nisoc that was inside my dog. He swallowed it. He's a 60-pound Labrador Retriever.
you don't think he could have passed that?
No, he's
He's a big dog.
It was in there for a couple of days, and he was
Getting all bloated and hurting and stuff.
it was coming out of both ends like it shouldn't.
How did you come to the conclusion? So anyways, your dog ate a Nisoc.
Yes, a thick, long Nisoc.
That before, but the days before, he was actually using he was chewing it up with his buddies, his buddy dog.
He was playing. They're just and then he was playing Keep Away because that's one of his favorite games, and then he just swallowed it.
Holy crap!
It happens to be
Stupid dog!
my guy who lives across the hall from me is a vet, and he dug it out of him.
All right, so how did you decide that there was a problem? Did you see him all bloated? Was he limping around, or was he just?
He loves food. He wouldn't eat food anymore. He was throwing everything up, and he was pooping liquid. So it was
Wow.
It was really very bad and not good for the carpet where I live. And
I wonder if that's because I asked you at the.
Also not good for the sock.
Yes, there goes your sock.
It was my friend's sock. It wasn't. It was at my friend's house that happened.
So, what was I going? Oh yeah. So, anyways, is this only a dog thing? Because I mean, these used to be wild animals. What prevents like wolves from just chewing on something that they shouldn't be chewing on, and swallowing it, and of course, killing themselves because they wouldn't last long. So are dogs just dumber and they're not meant to exist?
How many people do you know have pet wolves?
Right.
Not often because
How many people do you know that have pet wolves with access to socks?
I don't know anyone with pet wolves, but I know there are wolf owners out there. Wolf owners. So I know that it's a real thing because someone sent me that drop of their pet wolf.
Right, but the point that I'm trying to make is that there's not a lot of pet wolves, and the wolves in the wild generally don't have a fucking sock drawer somewhere handy.
But that's where I'm going. But there are things in nature, and it doesn't have to be a pet wolf. It can be a wild wolf, and I think they're all wild, aren't they? But anyways,
right?
Aren't there plenty of things?
The wolves out in the wild aren't going to have access to a sock drawer.
But aren't there things in nature that could, be on par with socks? Some weeds or something, or some vines, or I don't know, rocks. What prevents wolves from chewing on rocks?
Poisons, any kind
Or
of poison.
bones.
The fact that wolves probably have figured out that rocks aren't tasty, but there's nothing. There's no proof that no wolf has ever swallowed a rock and died.
That's right.
You're presupposing that wolves don't die in the wild from eating things.
I think it's probably very rare. I think it's something you just don't see. Or of course, you're right.
You don't know because unless you live with the fucking wolf family.
Are you trying to tell me if the tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it? It doesn't make a sound?
No, I'm telling you that unless you're there, you don't know what knocked the fucking tree over.
Oh, crap. Dogs are stupid is what I'm trying to get at it. Then my whole point of that was dogs are dumb. If after the zombie apocalypse, if we are not around to take care of our dogs, they're all going to die out in like a year. They'll be all gone.
Why are you infatuated with the zombie apocalypse?
Not the zombie apocalypse, but the apocalypse in general. I'm not infatuated with it. I think
You
that
bring it up almost every fucking week.
same with the Matrix. The problem is that
You're infatuated.
well, I mean, I want to prepare myself because this is could be an inevitable
Okay,
outcome.
so instead of saying, "Oh, the zombie apocalypse," think about, "Oh, what would I do if Jessica Alba came into my house and said she wanted to have her way with me?"
because that's not inevitable.
Think about those things.
because it's not inevitable. It's not going to happen.
Having a horde of zombies is not fucking inevitable.
It's much more likely that we will be attacked by zombies and Jessica Alba will come and visit me here in my house, here in cold New England.
No.
It's not happening, dude.
No.
Especially with a dirty sock on my table.
How about Sarah Silverman? She's from.
Oh, she's closer. Yeah, and she kind of fits into the...
So what are your probabilities for a zombie apocalypse happening?
like I said, not necessarily... We already have the zombies. So we're already halfway there.
No, we don't.
We have plenty of zombies out there. Plenty of sheeple zombies. The question is, what... Is
Just
there,
because there's a bunch of people that don't pay attention to what the fuck goes on in the world doesn't mean that they're a zombie.
is there a calamity, or if you will, a... Oops. Double-clicked on that one. A calamity of intense proportions, like the Rapture or something, I don't know. Is there
Rapture, the guy that comes on the show every
that's
few
his theme
weeks.
song. Didn't you know?
No, I did not.
No, I think it's quite possible. I think it's quite probable. Now, the zombies are already
Okay,
here.
like a 1 in 2 chance, a 1 in 12 billion chance.
A chance as in like it's going to happen tomorrow. I think it'd be very rare, but the chances are very slim. But in sometime in the
1 in a trillion?
sometime in the future, I mean, anything can happen.
Do you have better chances of winning the lottery? I'm just trying to figure out what your...
No, you do not have better chances of you, Daryl Perry, winning the lottery. I think you
Right,
have,
because
you have
I've not bought a lottery ticket in several months.
I think you have a better chance of being bitten in the neck by a zombie than you do of winning the lottery. Does that help your ratio? there,
Being
James?
struck by lightning or zombie apocalypse?
Struck by lightning. Now,
Okay.
apocalypse versus lightning, just regular old like chemical.
You keep saying zombie apocalypse.
because that's my way of introducing a strange topic into conversation. I say zombie apocalypse, and it's more people are much more receptive to the idea.
No, they're not.
Yes,
People that are infatuated with zombies are.
they will be much more
and
likely.
normal people are asking the fucking question about why are you infatuated with zombie apocalypse?
I don't hang out with normal people. I go to work, and my crew will be much more likely to want to talk about the zombie apocalypse than politics or Dancing with the Stars or any of that crap nonsense. Zombie apocalypses are neat. Except Walking
Only
Dead.
because
which is
Walking Dead is popular. That's the only reason people fucking like zombies now.
the worst part about that is Walking Dead is not popular. It's just people watch it. It's a guilty pleasure that they have to watch. Like me, I'm fighting my way through it, and it's horrible. I mean, it's the dumbest show out there
Then why fucking watch it?
because it's got zombies in it and the apocalypse. There you go. You see, people want to know these things, except you.
I feel like I'm talking in a fucking circle, dude.
Hey, dude. Hey, Futurama. Watching every season of Futurama in like 2 weeks. I don't want to hear it from you.
It's like 2 months.
We all have our guilty pleasures.
But I didn't watch every episode of Futurama because I felt compelled to do so because all of my coworkers are watching it, so I want to fit in.
When did I say that? When did I say this fitting in crap? I didn't go there.
You said you watch it because everybody else is watching it.
No. I said the people I work with will be much more inclined to talk zombie conversation than they will anything else. It's not because I...
So what was the reason you watched Walking Dead again?
It's a guilty pleasure of mine.
But you said it was the most horrible show and you hate it.
No, I like. Oh, God damn it, Daryl! I like vampires and werewolves and zombies and monsters and stuff.
Okay.
It's not to fit in.
But why are you watching the show if you don't like the show?
Actually, I haven't finished whatever the season it is, so maybe I'm not going to finish watching it. It's quite possible that it's at a standstill. It will never stalemate that I'll never finish.
Because you did say that you didn't like the show.
It's horrible.
But you still watch the show.
I fight my way through, yes.
Yeah, so why are you doing that if you don't like the show?
I don't think you would understand, Daryl. You don't get into the fictional stories. You only like your political books and stuff.
I watched Game of Thrones in less than a week.
Yeah, but I think that you have. I think you see yourself in that Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It's all the political drama that's going on. You see yourself as a freedom warrior, a freedom fighter.
Yeah.
And so that really touches a chord. And there isn't a whole lot of magic and crap. And it is very historical, even though it's made up.
Right.
There was the what was the war in England? The
War of the Roses.
War of the Roses. So I mean, the author Martin has come right out and said that I pretty much based the book off of that those historical those histories, if you will.
So did you see the quiz that was floating around online? The which Game of Thrones character were you?
Yeah, I took it. Did you see what my answer was?
No.
It's Daenerys. Duh.
Really?
Yeah, and yours was fucking the little guy.
Tyrion. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. No one else. A lot of people didn't take that one. Everyone took the Star Wars quiz, and now everyone's taking the Hogwarts quiz. I skipped the Hogwarts one.
Oh, I took the Hogwarts and got Hermione.
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 That one. Did you take any of these quizzes, Joe?
No.
Did you see them all floating around?
Yes, I saw the Thrones today.
Yeah, is your face space being inundated with
Yes.
quizzes?
Yes.
Sometimes I see them like, man, all right. And I'm like, all right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
So who did you get on the Star Wars trek?
Obi-Wan.
Okay.
The problem with these quizzes is that some of the questions there isn't an answer. They're just so
Right.
You have like 5 choices. None of them pertain to anything you would ever answer, and you've got to like stretch to pick the closest one to something you would answer.
Right.
I think,
and then sometimes there's 2 things that seem like, well, I would do either of these. And all right, which one do I pick?
Yeah, but they're fun for a second.
Yeah.
I like doing them for a second, and that's it. And then I forget. And then, of course, I talk about them on the show.
Yeah. So, speaking of things to talk about on the show, there was something that happened in New London recently. Should we show the video first on this?
Yeah, let's show this one. It is telling.
Well, a police dash cam recorded an unusual proposal for 2 Colby Sawyer College graduates.
The police and the groom-to-be were in on it, but the bride, well, this was all a big surprise. Our Jean Mackin talked to the newly engaged couple, and Jean, she's probably still in shock over how he proposed.
Yeah, you could say that. She admits she was a little upset her future husband put her through this. They shared their story from their new home out in California. She says in the end, though, it was all worth it.
Are you driving the car? No.
This was anything but a routine traffic stop. A couple of Colby Sawyer College graduates back in New London. Samantha and Matt were dating for 4 years.
Get your license and registration, please.
She had no idea he was planning a surprise proposal with help from the police.
I figured since we kind of met in prison, it would be kind of appropriate to do it that way.
It's not as bad as it sounds.
Maybe we better rewind to the beginning of this love story. Samantha and Matt met as freshmen when police stopped by a party.
We were at a party and it got busted, and there's about 100 of us, and that's the first night we ever really talked.
I think you guys might have done a report on it.
Oh, yes, we did. To clear their records, Samantha and Matt passed the breathalyzer test.
They let us go after talking to our parents.
So there you are at the police station and sparks fly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fast forward 4 years, Matt enlisted the New London police to help pull off an arresting proposal.
Just want to put your hands right behind your back for me, please.
While the couple and their Colby Sawyer friends were in town for a reunion.
They had us both step out of the car and everything. They pretended to put handcuffs on him, like behind his back, and then the cop started patting him down and pulled something out of his pocket.
It was her engagement ring. Right there on police dash cam, she said yes.
I went from being the most terrified I've ever been to probably the most ecstatic.
You're not going to be in trouble with the law again, are you?
I hope not.
No, no.
Well, we wish them the best. Samantha and Matt are now trying to pay off their college loans while they plan a wedding for 2015. Live in the studio, Gene Mackin, WMUR News 9.
That is so lame.
Yeah, I didn't have a barf drop yet. I think I'm going to put that one on my list. What do you think about this silliness?
On the one hand, at least the cops weren't arresting some kid for walking around with an open container or having some plant on him.
So essentially they're busy doing something else other than arresting someone for a silly reason.
But on the other hand, people's fucking tax money is being used for this bullshit.
Mm-hmm. So now they've got two bodies here. You know, they probably spent at least 30 minutes doing this.
Right.
This wasn't a short event. And they had to set it up as well. So both these guys are on the clock. There's two of them. They could be somewhere else. But
they could be searching for real criminals.
But they don't have enough cops because some of them are out here doing this crap. So we need to hire more cops because we don't have enough cops.
Right. And if you look at the statistics, if they would stop arresting people for things that have no victim, then that would free up anywhere between 40 and 60% of their man hours.
Yeah. I think...
thus allowing them to, in effect, nearly double their staff by not adding another body to their roster.
I agree. But I do see this on a lighter note. Like you said, like you brought up, it is good that these guys are doing something other than being some old horrible individuals, taking people away from their families and from their lives and penalizing them with fines and with jail time and whatnot. And, you know, it's good to see that they're doing something nice. And
Yeah.
Joe's got my mouse, so I can't drop my Andy Griffith. Hold on one second. I got to drop it. There we go. Yeah, it's nice to remember that there was a time when it seems like maybe there were cops who were, you know, peacekeepers, peace officers. But I don't know. This is way before my time. Joe, were the cops cool back in the day?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You've never dealt?
No, never dealt with them.
You're a young man anyways, and so you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. I mean, you're...
Yes, I didn't think of them police officer or anything. I was kind of sheltered.
Maybe question is, do you notice cops now?
I know. I went to Concord against the Bearcat. I'm very troubled about the militarization of the police. That's horrible, you know. And the guy, the military guy, the guy that served in Fallujah, you know, described it right. It's not constitutional to have an army on our turf.
Yeah, they specifically say that there will be no standing armies.
Yes.
And we have two standing armies. One on the other people's soils.
Yeah.
And then we got the one that we're building on our own.
Right. Well, that was the one.
Actually, just a clarification, the U.S. Constitution does not say there will never be a standing army. It says no appropriations for an army shall be passed for a period more than 2 years. So they have to reappropriate the funds all the time, which they do, so that it falls in line with, well, we're not appropriating this money for 15 years. We're, you know, putting out plans for what we would like to see done, but we still have to pass this authorization every year.
But that's our military. What about our police force here in the States?
National police.
See, they don't even consider that an army. That's a new kind of definition right there. That's a new kind of army that no one's even. Well, I'm sure that the founders might have thought about it, but as far as The people.
I don't think the founders ever comprehended that the local police would be nationalized.
Right.
And I realize that they're not completely nationalized, but they're so dependent upon national grants and whatnot that it's a de facto nationalization and militarization of the police.
Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty horrible. This is an article that just showed up this week. Joe, you want to introduce us to this? What's going on here?
We got the State of the Union coming up, and this is Politico, who pays attention to this kind of thing. And they went and they ranked all the states on. They went to various surveys that are already taken, and the number one state in the nation turned out to be New Hampshire. But some of the and Mississippi is the worst.
According to, and what were some of the, you just changed states.
There you go. These are the 14 criteria that they used.
Gotcha.
This is the wealthiest. You see, like New Hampshire is 7th in the wealthiest, a per capita income. And lowest
unemployment.
Right, is one. There were a couple of interesting things.
Poverty rate.
Lowest poverty rate. We have 8.4 here. That's
which is crazy because, but you know,
homeownership rate is another one that I thought was interesting that they took into account.
That's 72 of what? Percent?
72% of people that live in New Hampshire own a home.
What?
Or in a home, I guess. So
that seems
can't
odd.
own it, but they're in it.
Because everyone I know rents. The only person I know here, Joe, do you own or rent?
I rent. But I mean, I owned for a long time in New York.
Yeah. Ian owns.
Well,
I know a couple others, but that's it. Most of the people I know rent, and
right. But you're also in a college town.
Yeah.
But there were two interesting ones I thought here. The lowest obesity rate.
The STEM jobs I thought was interesting.
What's the obesity rate in New Hampshire?
This is the one we did the worst at.
Oh, the obesity rate?
Yeah,
I thought we would do well on that one.
17th on this one, New Hampshire.
Wow.
We where the lower numbers are good. Our obesity rate is 17 out of 51. We're not so bad. 51 because they do the District of Columbia also.
Mm-hmm.
There was one, it included what they called STEM jobs, which is science, technology, something, I forget what energy and math.
Which we would probably do well on, right?
Right. I believe New Hampshire ranked fairly high on that.
This is one of the things I like the most. This income inequality. It's one thing I noticed when I came up here. Is that New Hampshire people seem to be more equal. It's more like a democratic place than New York was, where I lived in April. But here, look at the two worst.
Or it just means that the rich people aren't coming here to retire. That they go.
No, the
go to Florida.
income. No, once you're retired, you're no longer earning an income.
I think this is well. Oh no, income inequality. You're right. But look at the two worst. The two worst are the places that are blood-sucking the world: New York and District of Columbia. Right? This is where it's amazing that these two hit.
Well, what's amazing is when these politicians bring up in their game plan, like for example, our dear leader Obama, I think one of his big things is income inequality that he brings up a lot. And look, he actually lives in the district of income inequality.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you two things. The guy who was Treasury Secretary, Geithner, right? He left the job. As soon as he left the job, he gets $200,000 for one speech. And who pays him? Deutsche Bank. Now, what do you think that cost us? That this guy that Deutsche Bank sees to pay this guy $200,000 for one speech. Clinton, when he left office, next 8 years, they paid him $100 million over 8 years for mostly for speeches and books, right? Major in England got $50 million, right? I guess United States you get $100 million if you play ball with these guys, right? So this is all. This is what the corporates can do if the politicians play along, and you see that this happens most. This is like Wall Street and taxation.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
And then number 49 on that list, Connecticut.
Right, which is near New York. Right.
I find that interesting. Yeah, because a lot of people that work in New York City will actually live in Connecticut.
Now here's the other one. Here, this is a really good one too. Lowest crime rate, right? Look at the top 3: Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. Right?
It might just be too cold to kill people here. It just
this isn't just murder. This is
all crime.
All crime.
Now, so the thing is, these are gun privileged states. These are people who protect gun owners. Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire. Right? Vermont is more.
Vermont has better gun laws than New Hampshire.
In fact, I went to one of these gun control sites, and they give Maine an F, and they give Vermont an F, and they give New Hampshire a D-. So these are the people that actually protect gun owner rights, these 3 states, and they have the lowest crime rate.
And let's see what's at the bottom of this list. I'm guessing
something?
Illinois,
DC.
Yeah.
Illinois is 34.
California, 35. New York. Well,
I'm surprised that Arizona is as low on this list as they are, because Arizona has really great gun laws.
I think congestion has to do with a part of it also. You know, that some of the. But anyway, I thought that was,
right.
that was interesting. The top
Arizona is also a border state, so you've got a lot of the drug war violence.
Same thing with Texas
being
too.
Perpetrated because of the federal government.
Yeah. This was one that was done many years ago.
Yeah, H.L. Mencken put out a list in 1931.
And where were we on that in 31? 16. But Massachusetts was number 1. How do you like how that's turned around? You know, my people are originally from Massachusetts back in the day, way back in the day.
But I think Massachusetts is one of the good ones here. How do I go back a page here?
It's on the highest math scores right there.
Yeah, no, Massachusetts I think is pretty good. Let's see.
Yeah, they are.
Number 5.
They are on a lot of lists, I've noticed. But at the same time, I notice an awful lot of people who are moving here from Massachusetts.
Right.
And they have nothing good to say about the place.
Yeah. Well, they have the academics in Boston. I think those colleges and stuff.
Well, and they're trying to do the same thing here in Keene. They're trying to emulate the outrageous funding of education, which, I guess you can argue.
Well, we have to increase the budget because our student population decreased.
Absolutely,
I still don't understand that logic.
That makes perfect sense to me.
How does that make sense? We have fewer students, so it costs us more to educate fewer people?
Sarcasm. My dear leaders in charge, the guys in charge of the school board members, they are educated academic types. A lot of them are academic types. And
a lot of them like to think that they're academic.
They have to know more than I know. Because I don't have a college. I do have a college education. I didn't complete college. I work at Walmart. I'm going to be paying for this house for probably the next 30 years the way I'm doing business. So I couldn't possibly know anything about money. Right? Okay, we agree. We agree on that. I'm a complete dumbass when it comes to money.
Hold on.
Because I can't pay my bills on time.
Now that you have fewer people living in your house, does it cost you more to operate your house?
Sashi was not a burden as far as the
right, but using the school board logic of we have fewer students, so we have to spend more.
Absolutely, got you. So now that Sasha is doing her own thing, that's one less body in the house. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to probably raise my budget, my family budget by about 1 to probably 3%, because that only makes sense. Because it is 2014.
Because population dropped by 50% in the house.
Last year was 2013. This year's 2014, and you've got inflation. Yeah,
right.
That.
Oh, the contracts. You've got these contracts with, PSNH, and you've got a contract with Time Warner.
Right. So here, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to either one of two things. I'm going to either have to call up New Hampshire Electric, and call up my mortgage company. I'm going to have to let them know that, hey, listen, this year's 2014, I've had to increase my family budget by about 3%. So I'm going to have to let you know that you're going to have to, lessen your bills on, because I'm not going to be able to handle this. Or I'm going to have to go to my employer I'm going to have to let him know that he needs to give me a 1 to 3% increase in salary.
No, hold on. Just because your spending goes up 1 to 3% means that you need to increase the salary by 5 to 10.
Right. Or even worse or better, depending on what row you stand in. I'm going to go talk to one of my neighbors and let them know that I've had to increase my budget and that they need to reimburse the difference.
Yes.
Because they're my neighbors.
Right.
They live on the same street as me.
Fewer people in my house, got to increase my budget, and you've got to pay for it.
And if that all sounded silly to you, well, guess what? That's exactly what the city and the school board and all of these yahoos and the state and the Fed, that's what government does. That's their nature. They don't know any other way, and it only makes complete sense to them. And, of course, they all have college educations.
I wonder what would happen.
And they know what they're talking about.
I wonder what would happen if you called up the mortgage company and said, I was expecting a tax refund of somewhere around $1,500, but the feds didn't give me all of that. They only gave me $750. So, I'm going to need you to renegotiate my mortgage.
And I'll just say
because that's one of the things. That's one of the things that the school board continuously says. Oh, well, we're not getting as much money from the state and from the feds as we thought, so we've got to increase taxes again.
And by the way, it's just a small, what is it, like $200,000? And when you compare that to the contracts and the salary increases and whatnot, these guys, man, I don't even know. And by the way, that's one of the warrants they're trying to pass this year is a salary increase for the next 3 to 5 years.
Contract renegotiation for the teacher union, and they still didn't answer my question. I asked because there's the one question of shall we extend the contract, and if voters deny this article, then shall the school board be authorized to hold a meeting for the purpose of renegotiating the contract. Mm-hmm. And I asked the question, what happens if both of these fail? And they didn't really answer the question. My question...
He said that they won't get a raise for the next 5 years. But that doesn't stop them from re-entering another warrant next year.
Hold on, no. The question that I was actually asking, and I didn't want to ask it in this manner, but my question actually was, would the teachers wind up doing what they did in Chicago not too long ago, where they walk out of the classroom and go on strike and say, you still have to pay us, but we're not teaching?
That's usually how it happens. That's what they have, that power that they can just, your kids are essentially
I think I'm actually going to ask that question during the deliberative session.
And bring that up, that topic, whether
ask it specifically that way.
Whether the teachers will strike if you guys don't get your act together.
Will the teachers strike and demand that they get paid?
And when you ask that question,
not do their job.
And when you ask that question, ask the board, but then turn around and ask the audience, because you know that 90%,
the audience is going to be mostly teachers.
90% of the audience are teachers or the husbands and wives of the teachers who are there and participating.
Right.
Horrible, and I don't know any other way out of it except to just keep letting people know that this is a situation that is really hurting the community, and it's not just our community; it's every community out there.
But Conan, if you don't like it, then just go somewhere else.
Just move to Somalia. I know. Move to Canada. I know.
And that totally ignores the fact that some government claims every inch of Earth.
Yeah, and you know what? I've lived here in the United States my entire life, so I'm not from another country or something. And guess what? I didn't break it. I didn't break the system. The people who are in charge and the people who voted them into power broke it. And
there's the myth in the United States.
So I shouldn't have to leave. They shouldn't have to leave.
Government with the consent of the governed. And most people that, think that, well, you're within their jurisdiction, so therefore that's your consent. Well, okay, I could make some kind of bold statement and say that, by hearing my voice, you consent to give me $100 million. And if you fail to give me $100 million, then you're not holding up your end of the deal because, after all, I said these words and you heard them.
And my buddy Jethro back here is going to come shoot you in the kneecaps. Or even worse, shoot your dog until you comply.
Not implied consent or expressed consent. I guess expressed would be the accurate term because implied is, well, you're within the jurisdiction, so therefore you consent.
Right.
If there's not expressed consent, then how can the government claim to act with the consent of the governed? And I've seen polls that say that upwards to 60% of people say that they do not consent to what is being done in Washington. I saw a poll recently where only 2% of people that were surveyed said that they trust the government in Washington to do what is right almost all of the time.
Right. Well, but just look at some of the laws that we are forced to deal with, like, for example, the weed deal. And look at all the people who don't have an issue with weed, and they've come to the conclusion that, you know what, prohibition doesn't work.
Right.
It's wrong. It's more harmful than it is good. And what the hell's wrong with weed anyways? When you compare it to, say, alcohol or any other drugs, and yet it's still illegal. So yeah, I mean, these people don't represent us. If the majority of the people have already decided that, something is a law is retarded, and it's this hard to get it off the books, it's taken this many years. The fact that it got on the books in the first place.
Yeah. You got any thoughts on any of this?
I'm sorry, Joe. We haven't let you talk, man.
Yeah, actually, it reminds me of cigarettes. I saw something recently where more than 50 years ago, the Surgeon General had decided that cigarettes were killing us, and still they killed.
This is when they had all the movies with all the stars smoking it, and they had the cigarette ads where they're like
4 out of 5 doctors recommend Camel.
Right. And then in 1990,
so were you saying a Surgeon General at that time came out against it?
Yes.
What happened to him? Was he thrown out of the
No.
out of the park?
The government kept along, but the cigarette companies kept lying. And in fact, I think it was early 1990s. There's a picture with in front of Congress with 5 of these execs with their hands up in the air, and they're still saying there's no proven connection between. It's obviously statistical connection.
Right.
We knew that 40 years earlier, but they were saying there was no proven connection because nobody had yet shown the mechanism. But that's an interesting
proven connection between what?
Between cigarettes and cancer. In other words, there was a statistical connection. How do we know things? How do we actually know that something is true, right? Do you actually have to see the logic of it, or is the probabilities, when you see all these people dying and they're smokers, is that enough to make you know?
Right.
So the executives were saying that. But what I was thinking like you is because we know for 50 years and still we're exporting this stuff, we're killing people. And we're killing our own people here.
We're fighting wars over it.
Yeah, and we're people are getting sick who aren't. They're being. We're going to have to take care of them instead of them being productive. So still after 50 years, you say how long does it take for people to know or want and government to do something about it? 400,000 people, right? How many died in 9/11? Yeah. 3,000, and look what we've done.
And you know what?
400,000 every year.
The free market could never survive like this. If Walmart puts something on their shelves and it never sells because the people either don't know about it or they don't like it or they don't want to spend their money on it, guess what happens to that product? Either the guy selling the product to Walmart amps up his game and puts a better sticker on it or changes the product so it tastes different.
Yeah.
Or Walmart stops buying it, and that'll happen overnight. That doesn't take 50 years to get fixed. That happens overnight, and someone fixes up their game. Either Walmart fixes their game, or the manufacturer fixes his game. Because guess what? I'm the voter every time I walk into Walmart. Every time I spend my dollar, I'm voting on everything that's in that store. And if it's not up to par, if it doesn't work with me, if it's lacking, I don't spend my money on it. It doesn't get sold.
Yeah.
And Walmart or the manufacturers fixes their game quick.
the government definitely has a part in this, but also you can't forget that they're trying to addict kids when they're young and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They do everything they can, and
just like cereal, just like sugary cereals.
Exactly right. Except this stuff's addictive. This stuff you can't.
I think sugar is addictive.
Yeah.
Yeah, sugar's definitely addictive.
And people quit cigarettes. What?
I am most definitely more in favor of sugar as far as my biology is concerned than I am in nicotine.
Right. And so, but some people are addicted, and they're customers for life. And they don't really have a choice when they come into Walmart. Not if you're addicted. And they could make a safe cigarette, but they don't. They want addicted customers. So how long does it take? And how many people have to die? It's like 10 years, 4 million people.
So it sounds as though, and I don't know if this is what you're advocating for or not, but it sounds as though you're wanting tobacco to be criminalized.
Yes, I think the opposite of marijuana. We outlawed the wrong plant. Marijuana, cigarettes do nothing for you. Do nothing for you except when you're addicted, they relieve you when you're already addicted. But they don't do anything positive, and they kill people and make them sick. And you have these big companies preying on people. I think governments are kind of favorable because they get a lot of tax revenue now from it.
Criminalizing tobacco is not the solution. The solution is just to get government away from the big tobacco companies, or even better yet, do away with government, which big tobacco companies are using to benefit themselves. They're using it to protect themselves, if you will.
I don't know. I think one answer would be education. Actually, I think we are making ground by just telling people, this is really stupid.
That's the way it needs to be done.
You're a stupid sucker if you start this at a young age. You're going to be paying all your life, and you're going to get sick earlier and die. There's no.
I think that is the solution.
Yeah.
To do away with government, who are protecting their guys in big tobacco. Yeah. And they most definitely are protecting their guys.
In my opinion, these people should be in jail.
I'm just thinking big tobacco lobbyists. I'm just thinking the guy with all the nicotine patches on his body. What was that movie called?
Yeah.
But
thank you for smoking.
Don't know.
Yeah. But as far as criminalizing tobacco, I think that is the absolute wrong way to do it, because I want less laws. I don't want any more.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't want to create prohibition on tobacco, because guess what's going to happen? The kids and the rebels and the people who are, oh my God, tobacco's illegal? Well, now it goes underground. Then you've got nasty synthetic
Then
tobacco.
You've got something that's even more addictive and more deadly.
Could you imagine like synthetic tobacco, where they're like growing like nicotine leaves in a lab, and they're selling it at the corner news or wherever, and then before you know it, you have an ordinance against synthetic tobacco. It'll be just like marijuana.
Yeah, I think I follow the money. It's like government has a role, and the corporates have a role in this. But what do you do about people who just take advantage of other people?
Well, you get rid of government, which they're using as a tool.
Yeah.
That is their best tool, and you let the free market do its thing. Walmart can't take advantage of me and get away with it. It'll come back to haunt them, or I'll stop shopping there, and I'll go shop at someone else's store. And the guy who is the better provider will win in the end. And it might take a second. It might take a year. It might take a month for it to resolve. But in the end, the guy who's screwing me over is going to lose. But now, if he's able to protect himself and hide behind a big shadowy, the big shadowy wall of government to protect his, say for example, the big oil, BP in the Gulf.
Yeah.
Their whole situation where they got away with murder because of a law that they probably had a huge deal in actually instigating.
Probably. The law that you're talking about with the protection of liability for an oil disaster was passed immediately after the Exxon Valdez incident.
Mm-hmm. So in my book, they got away with murder.
Yes.
And that's probably a law that they instigated. They had every part of doing, and guess who lost in the end? The people and the taxpayers. And when I say people and taxpayers, because not all people are taxpayers. Taxpayers lost. And the people lost.
That's why I said everybody.
Everybody. Guys, we are coming up on our little break time here. I guess in the hour 2, we're going to go and get on some Bible code, something that I haven't even looked at in like the longest time. Joe brought it up last week, and he's like, dude, you got to go ahead and watch this. You do some Google searches on this and see what you think about it. And I knew a little bit about it, and but Joe's going to set us straight because he knows something. He's even got the program on his laptop here that actually allows him. Can you type in words and stuff?
Yes.
So we're going to find out that in hour 2. We're going to leave you with a little break song. I think we are. Let's see, who are we breaking with this evening? Not that one. Or maybe we closed it by accident.
I think you did.
Yes, the song is by the Stranglers. The song is Golden Brown. It's a very jive sounding song. There it is right there. And guys, we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Golden brown, texture like sun, lays me down. With my mind she runs throughout the night. No need to fight, never a frown. With golden brown, every time just like the last. On her ship, tied to the mast, to distant lands, takes both my hands, never a frown. With golden brown. Temptress, through the ages she's heading west. From far away, stays for a day, never a frown. With golden brown.
Hey, welcome back to Hour 2 of Black Sheep Rising. How did you do that?
I've got the mouse over here.
Oh, you were intentionally doing that? Or you actually, because last week you actually left the room and you just started mashing buttons.
Right.
And somehow you hit the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was that I clicked on. I just clicked on something over there.
It's G, Game of Thrones.
Ah.
So there you go. So earlier in the hour, I brought up a video where the guy was talking about Bitcoin. He was actually Googling it. So the big question is, what if Google was a guy? You know, what would he have to put up with?
Shit.
Exactly. Look at this guy over here. He's just taking over with the drops. So what if Google was a guy? What if you were Google and people were inundating you with these questions all day long? I mean, just think about your Google searches. I mean, think about how somehow.
Hold on. Would I actually have to show them the results that they wanted?
You're Google. You're Skynet. Yeah, it's your job. But
there's no way that one man can process all of that.
You are an enhanced, matrix-sized Daryl.
Yeah, I don't want to play this game, so let's just watch the video.
Go ahead.
Next. Hello there.
Is today tomorrow New Zealand?
Yes.
Foot same length Europe.
What?
Inch same length Europe.
Gmail.com. What is Bitcoin?
Butthole. Gross, fat, butthole, dick, poop.
Is that what kids are into these days? Are your parents home?
Miss Pippi.
You mean Mississippi? Hey, I'm not a dictionary.
My grandson Nathan.
Song that goes meow 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 meow.
She's cute.
Girls' college.
Let's see.
Right. College girls. Nude.
Really?
Patrick Castles. Pat Castles. Pat Castles funny.
Bitcoin market value.
Weed amount legal NYC.
Patrick Castles, funny writer, college humor.
Are you gonna do this all day?
What is prime meridian?
Head got cute.
Do you mean hedgehog?
Head got cute.
God, do you mean hedgehog?
Hedgehog's cute.
Adderall Max Dose.
Yeah.
Adderall Max Dose, 165-pound man.
Okay.
Adderall Max Dose, 165-pound man, 20 years old. Adderall overdose signs.
Download Firefox.
Ever heard of Chrome?
How to buy Bitcoin.
Titanic drawing. Titanic movie drawing. Titanic movie drawing scene. Kate Winslet tits. Round 2.
Facebook.com, my grandson Nathan.
No.
Dexter based on real.
Free hamster.
Unbuy Bitcoin.
Boston Bomber.
Oh.
It's a real tragedy.
Cute one.
Oh, fucking shit.
I think that hit on a lot of screwy ass Google searches.
Yes.
I didn't like the unbuy Bitcoin at the end there. I thought that was pretty. That was kind of lame.
Yes.
That greasy looking dude.
I just thought it was funny. The old guy that Googled Facebook.
Yeah.
And Googled Gmail instead of typing gmail.com.
Oh, but he actually typed in
into the browser.
He was actually typing in grandson Nathan instead of.
Well, that was at the end. That was his third request. The first one was gmail.com.
You know,
Facebook.com.
You know, I still do that on my Hotmail. No, actually, all I do now is Hotmail sign in because I don't have it paged at all, and it's one of my old emails. So I'm like Hotmail sign in, and it'll take me right to that page. Hey, I'm sorry, man. I don't use the old Hotmail anymore. I switched over to the old Gmail. I switched over to Skynet.
Okay, but you could still type in hotmail.com, and it will take you to the sign in. You don't have to Google.
Actually, the way that my browser is set up, when I do Google, if I do a Google search, it takes it right to the browser. Have you noticed that? That's like a new thing.
Joe, what does your Bible code thing say about Google?
Yeah, put Google in there and see what it...
Oh, boy, I don't know.
I bet you Skynet is right next to it.
Yeah, I don't know how to spell it in Hebrew. Google.
Google.
So you had to do a translation beforehand to make it work.
Transliteration, yeah, or translation, either one.
All right, hold on. Let me pull up the Hebrew alphabet.
So while Daryl is
this, ladies and gentlemen, is exciting.
Yeah, no, you can do translate. Google, pull up Google Translate if you want, and then put Google in it.
Okay.
Google Translate is
translate.google.com.
All right, so while Daryl is trying to translate Google at translate.google.com, how do you like how that works? Google has probably already thought about
Now
this.
Put Google in there and put translate into Hebrew over here.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice. And there it is. Is it working? It's Google.
No, but it's got to be in Hebrew.
I selected Hebrew. That's why I was just going to pull up the...
Click it. No? Did you click it?
I clicked and then translate, and it doesn't translate.
It stays the same.
It stays the same. All right.
Okay, so go back to your way of doing business there, Mr. Darrell. Great.
Yeah, it's not going to do. So let me pull up the
And you can't do letter by
Hebrew
letter?
alphabet. No, that's
Okay,
what I
yeah.
just tried.
All right, while you're looking for that, Joe, what is this Bible code thing? I remember seeing a documentary many years ago, and I rewatched it, so I know kind of what's going on. But what is Bible code for the people at home who might not be aware, of what's going on?
Okay, there's New Testament and Old Testament. This is in the Old Testament.
The first 5 chapters.
First 5 chapters are what's called the Torah. Okay,
Right.
that's the holiest Jewish book, source of Judaism. And in the Hebrew, which is the original, everything else is a translation. Everything else we have is a translation of the Hebrew. In the Hebrew, there's hidden information. There's hidden information coded in a certain manner, which we call the Bible code. And what we can find is information about today's world, consistent with today's world, with things like people alive, people who are alive today. And I'll show you some of these. But the question is this the type of random thing you could find in any set of letters? Or is this, or does this show that somebody put this stuff there intentionally, so therefore the book itself has a superhuman author? And that's my opinion.
Right.
That the book has a superhuman author.
You think it's a creator type, or do you think it's like aliens, or do you think it's?
I have no idea. I just know smarter than us.
Smarter than us, but I mean, why would they leave us this information that essentially is saying that, and does it ruin the whole predetermination, or is that what it's calling for? I mean, does it?
From what I've seen about Bible code, is a lot of it you can't really predict what will happen, but when you find these things after something happens, you can be like, oh, here's this and that and the other thing.
Well, let's look at some. Let's look at some.
Exactly. And it's
hold on. So try searching for Google real quick. Would be
I can't do it.
Gamel.
Can't do it.
It's kind of like the whole Nostradamus prophecies.
Ve Gamel Lamed.
Lamed, yeah, it would be GGL. It would be, yeah.
So no V's for O's.
It doesn't help. It won't give me a meaningful search. It really won't. Trust
me. I mean.
I'm just wondering if
where do
some
I find
of this
stuff
is
on the
very
on the
coincidental.
Oh, it's this one here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Has anyone ever tried going through the works of Shakespeare and taking every 27th letter,
the documentary
and
that
seeing if they've ever come up with anything that resembles a word?
The documentary that I watched 10 years ago did Moby Dick.
Okay.
And they were finding stuff about JFK and Princess Di and stuff.
All right. Let's look at some stuff. Okay. So first, I'll just give you an example. How do I get this up here? Okay, this is the first 5 or 6 verses of the Hebrew Bible. Now, the Hebrew Bible, Hebrew reads from right to left. So
Right.
this is the beginning over here. And what the computer's done is taken out the spaces between the words. And how come I can't get the arrow on here?
It's way over here. Keep going over.
Okay. And here's the first word. The first word is Bereshit. And that ends in a T.
Ooh, that's pretty harsh language there.
Bereshit.
Bereshit?
It means in the beginning. Okay, and then so you have the first letter here is a T. And then 50 letters later, you have this, which is an O sound. And then 50 letters after that, you have an R sound. and 50 letters after that, you have an H sound. So they line up vertically if you put the Torah in rows of 50. It lines up vertically every 50th letter. So it turns out that right in the beginning of the Torah, you have a word that's the title of the book. But nobody knew this. Nobody knew this until the 1940s. Some guy actually found this by hand. He wrote it out in rows of 10, and he noticed every fifth letter spelled Torah. So now you want to think, is this random, or did someone place this here, and then why? And one of the coincidences is he found it at the dawn of the computer age. Another coincidence is that there's only one set of letters in Torah, because if there were several editions, like you have, if you go in the library and look at English Bibles,
yes,
you'll find that
they change every 50 years or so.
Yeah, the first sentence might be, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, or it might be, when God began to create the heavens and the earth. So there are various translations in English. You can't do this in English, but you can only do it conveniently. We have in the Hebrew Bible, in the original, that everything is translated from, we have just one set of letters.
Right. I asked you that earlier.
Yeah.
There have been no changes in thousands of years to the Torah. It's been the same, and is there a reason for that?
Well, yes, but I would say the answer is yes, because traditional Jewish belief is that the Torah comes from God, letter from God. So they didn't want to change anything because they might be missing information.
I thought it actually specifically said somewhere that you will never change the wording. You always copy this in the exact same manner.
That's been practice, yes. That's been.
You're thinking of, there's a verse in the book of the Revelation that says, don't add or subtract from this book.
That's right.
It's specifically referencing that one specific book.
Yeah, but that was new. That was Revelations, written many years.
It's in the Torah also.
But a lot of people will interpret that to mean the entirety of the Bible.
Well, Joe says it's in the Torah as well.
It is. I'm pretty sure it's in Deuteronomy, which is the fifth book of the Torah. But anyway, so also now, why 50? It turns out that the Torah, within the Torah, they don't ask you to count many things, but one thing they do ask you to count is the time between the days between Passover and Shavuos, and that's 50 days, and they ask you to count to Jubilee. Now, you probably heard the term Jubilee. It's a time when we forgive debts and we free the slaves. Okay, so every 50 years. Right. We don't pay attention to that, but it's the Jews haven't been paying attention to that, and it's. But anyway, these are one of the few things that they actually ask us to count in Torah, so it's a good counting number.
Let me ask you something. So here, this particular pattern is set up by 50s.
Yes.
How is the regular Torah set up? How is it?
It's like a book. It's like.
But how many rows? Is it the same on every Torah, or is it whatever they can fit on a page?
The books you would buy in the store might be all different. The ones that are in the scroll, that's in the, if you go into a synagogue and they have an ark and there's a scroll in the ark, and those are very specific, and every page is exactly the same way. It looks kind of like a box, and
because I've never seen it laid out like this. I've seen the very boxy, almost square-like pages.
That's what it would look like in the scroll.
This is someone taking all of the letters and putting it in a grid.
It's making it look neat for us.
Yeah, and also taking out the spaces.
So it's every 50, but if it was on a box grid, it might be more like a diagonal or something, or might be even.
Well, it would be all messed up.
So my question, Joe, is why is this hidden as the fifth letter of the first word instead of the first letter of the first word?
Because it's the first T, and the Torah starts with a T, and the first word is Bereshit. So it's the first thing. But
I'm just saying, if it was something other than coincidence, shouldn't it be the very first letter?
But that would be too easy, and the aliens don't want us to figure this out until we're smart enough to have developed computer technology to actually. Or even before, you said right before computer technology.
Yes.
So someone noticed it, but now we actually have technology like you have on your laptop where we can actually, try even crazier formulas, equations to find maybe even deeper meaning.
But
that's been hidden in there by the creator.
I think you stumbled. I think you stumbled on the why. The why might be because when we get into the computer age, we empower individuals. It's like having a gun, right? Having a computer, you can do like so much. Look how much you do, right? So we need it now. We need the guidance now. So I see it as Torah. It's asserting itself at this time. Torah is showing you that it's something special because you ought to be paying more attention to this stuff than we do. Because as advanced as we are technology, we are not advancing morally. In fact, we're probably regressing. And so I think that's what I think is the reason for it. Hey, where do I click to find the next one?
You can just hit the next button.
This one?
Unless you want to go back to your...
I want to go back to the thing.
Click here?
This one here? Okay.
And then click there.
And there. Okay. So the second one I want to show you, because this is... so Daryl was asking.
Do you think that...
Yeah.
So how is this going to... All right, so keep going. You get to where... What else has been found?
Okay, so this is the second... This is the beginning of the second book of the Bible, which is Exodus. Okay? And here the... Vayela Shemot is the first two words. That's you see there's no space between the words. And here it's the eighth letter now. Is the first T. And then again every 50 letters. Now that I know from the first one, I have the first T and I have the 50. So given I have the first T, I can figure out the odds. What is the chance of this being in here is about 1 chance in 10 because of this Vav is about 1/10 of the letters. This Hey is about 1/10 of the letters, and this Resh is about 1/18 of the letters. So in other words, the chance of these three letters, now that I know that I'm looking for, say, a first T and a 50 spread, I can actually calculate what the chance of having these three here. It's 1 chance in 1,800. Okay.
And this is the second book in a book of 5, and the second book is doing the same thing as the first book. So now are the chances the same?
No, I'm saying for the second book, it's 1 in 1,800. For the first book, you might have said, well, Torah is a good word because that's the title of the book, and the first T is a good T, but why 50? Maybe it should be 7 because that's Sabbath, or it's 10 because that's the commandments, or it's 40 because that's the years of
Right, but what I'm saying is that the fact that the second book is also doing the same thing every 50 letters after the first T.
Yeah.
Now that that ratio has magnified.
Now it becomes a pattern instead of a coincidence.
Right. Exactly.
So now the other books. So now the other books.
It's here by intention.
If the other books are doing the same thing, now we have something crazy. No, they're not. Yeah,
they're not. But there's a good reason for that, and there's a beautiful code. But I don't want to do it here because it's too complicated.
Well, but you will discuss what the other 3 books do, right?
They don't do this. They do something else.
They do a middleizing thing.
No, they just.
What do they do?
All right. Quickly, you say why 250s and you look for 100. Okay, and it turns out that there ought to be Torah every 100 letters ought to be there 10 times in the book. Because the book's so big, how many times would I get Torah every 100 letters? Should be 10 of them. I only get 1.
Wow.
And the one, the chance of that's like 1 chance in 1,700, and that one lands in a place where the end of it is where God is giving the 10 Commandments to Moses. So in other words, traditional Jewish belief is that when Moses got the 10 Commandments, he got all of Torah also. Okay, so you can start right at the beginning, and but that's too complicated. I really don't want to go into that one. That's not, and it's not. Okay, let's see. We'll get into. I'll show you an interesting one here.
Wait, can you tell us what the other 3 books do? Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy.
Right. They don't have one of these in the beginning.
Yeah, but
that tells us
they have?
But Numbers and Deuteronomy.
They not anything that has to do with this code.
But don't Numbers and Deuteronomy switch around and spell backwards Torah?
Somebody said that, but it's not true.
It's not? Oh,
it's not. I checked it. So somebody said that originally. Yes, you read that someplace. I saw that. I investigated it. It's not true.
Okay, so we got something stranger going on. All right, the aliens don't want us to know.
Hold on. So he just put his microphone down.
Yeah, he's going to...
For anyone listening to the audio only, Joe has put his microphone down and grabbed a note...
A very worn,
purple folder of some sort.
Does the purple signify anything?
No,
royalty.
It's just royalty, right? Okay. I'm gonna read you a law from Deuteronomy. This is a law about kings, and I want you to tell me what this reminds you of. Okay. Okay. Deuteronomy 17, verse 15. You will appoint over you a king whom Adonai your God will choose. Adonai actually means my master, but then that's because you don't want to say God's name.
And this is before kings, or where he actually said, where Samuel said, "Look, why do you want a king?
Right.
They're just gonna enslave your people and rape your daughters."
But we want to be like everybody else. Give us a king.
So we want an army. We want an army. Yeah, this is 500 years before that or so. Okay. But it says, you will appoint a king. But I want you to think about what this reminds you of today, okay? You will appoint over you a king whom Adonai your God will choose. From among your brothers are you to appoint over yourself a king. You may not place over yourself a foreigner who is not your brother. So what does that remind you of?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes, that's right, because he's a foreigner, right? So he can't be president, right? What else? Anybody remind you of anyone else?
Are we taking it to the old Obama is from Kenya thing?
There you go. There you go.
I saw that as a title, and I didn't want to say it because I don't care if Obama's from Kenya. I don't care if he's from Pluto.
The way I look at it, all these guys are foreigners in my book.
How do I make this smaller? This one says bigger. How do I make? Can I make? All right. Well, this is okay. All right, so this is something I found. You know, I didn't find the other ones, but I found this one.
So this is your research.
This is my research. Okay. Now this is covering Deuteronomy late Deuteronomy 17 and 18 chapters. Oh, okay, great.
No, I was trying to
that's good.
make
you
it
did good,
smaller, but it's
fine. It's fine. It's good. This is good. This is good.
Okay.
This is perfect. Okay. This word over here. So now I'm right where I'm reading you this about you can't put a foreigner who's not your brother. They can't be your king, right? I find this over here, this red. This is Obama, right here. There's more than one way to spell Obama, but I checked two of them, and this is the one that worked. Okay.
Is that O-B-A-M-A?
This is the A is silent. That's an O. That's a B. That's an A. That's an M, and that's an H, like like AH. It's so. But it's there wouldn't be an H in Obama, but this is how one of the ways you could write Obama in Hebrew, and I tried two different ways.
Okay.
Okay. So and this is going backwards. This is going up. Okay. Now this word over here, this is B-R-K. This is how you would spell Barak. Right here. Now you see this shows up in the text. This is the equal spread here is 145 letters. We're showing about 20 of them here, maybe 24 of them here. But if you wrote the Torah in rows of 145, and then you would take a piece out of it, this would be the piece that's right near this verse I was reading to you before. Mm-hmm. So here you have Obama.
So why 145?
Because that's what made the Obama lineup. I asked the program to look for Obama equally spaced at any distance, okay? And near here.
So you specified that you wanted to be near that verse?
Yes. But there's a limited number of letters near that verse, right? So now I said, find me any Obama spread, and that the 145 sets up the matrix, because now I line up. This is right here is the verse I read to you is this one here, is this third row here, okay? So this is Barak right here, B-R-K. Up here we have, this is the number 721. This is every three letters up here. 721 is the Hebrew shorthand for 5721. This is the year Obama was born, 1961. The Hebrew year 5721 is the year Obama was born. So when I look for a person, I always look for his year of birth, and that's here, okay? This word over here, and I think it's Yalid, it's something like that, but this word means either native or born, okay? And this word over here means accusation. Okay, so you have all these words clustered. Now this alone, this word right here alone, to be this close is about 1 chance in 200. I wrote a program that I can't get up there that calculates the odds of saying this being in it'll be like a 1, 2, 3, 4, like a 6 by. This is about 20. So I'd say, what's the chance that you have this word equally spaced in a 6 by 40 matrix? And the chance of that's about 1 in 200. What it is, I count the different ways it can happen, the probability of each one, and then I use a binomial distribution, which is available in Excel. So this is, that alone is 200 to 1. This Barak, I can't really calculate that because it's in the text, but that's very unusual, and these two are also both unusual.
Is there anything here that determines where he was born?
Well, here's something. This word right here, see this is an H, these are two Vavs, and this is an A. This is actually a person's name that's Hawa, H-A-W-A, Hawa.
Maybe Hawaii?
And if this Yud, if this would make the E, if this Yud was right here, if it was here, then you would have 5 letters in a row. It would be Hawaii. So you almost have native or born Hawaii. You don't quite have it, but you almost have it. You have the 4 letters and like almost an apostrophe. You know, it's like.
And the the official state name Hawaii does have an apostrophe in the name.
Is that right? Okay.
Most people leave the apostrophe out when they spell Hawaii, but there actually is an apostrophe in Hawaii.
And this particular Hebrew letter looks like an apostrophe.
Yes, it does.
Okay, but so now what we have native accusation, native or born Hawaii. We have all that. And so you might say this is saying born Hawaii, right? This is but you have this other word here that kind of screws things up. This word here, this word means no or not. So it could be born Hawaii, or it could be not born
in Hawaii.
It could be either. It's not really resolvable. But let me read.
Or it could be there's the accusation that he's not born in Hawaii.
That's right.
Because you did say that there's the word accusation down
that makes the most sense of all. Accusation, not born Hawaii. That doesn't mean the accusation is true or false, but the accusation of not born Hawaii is actually here. And we have the Barack next to the Obama, and we have this, and we have his year of birth. Now, there's a couple of more things here. I want to read you this one. Now, I did this on September 6th. On September 5th, Clinton made his speech to the Democratic Convention with praising Obama.
I did not sleep with that woman.
Yeah, this is coming up right here. Okay, you're zeroing right in on it. And the next day, I'm coming through and I'm making this. I think I'm working on a few days. Anyway, it says, so this is 1715. This one here is, 145 letters later. This is 1717 right here. This one says, and he is not to acquire an abundance of wives. And the word in Hebrew for wives is the same as woman, like my woman, my wife. Mm-hmm. Okay? So, and he is not to acquire an abundance of wives or women for himself, so that his heart will not veer. And silver and gold he will not accumulate for himself in great abundance. Okay? So now you have Clinton, who's got an abundance of women, right? He's running after Romney, right? Romney is a Mormon, right? Abundance of women, right? And then you got accumulate for himself silver and gold in great abundance. Here you have Romney, who's, well, I think he's a sleazebag who cheats, and got very, very wealthy and also you've got Clinton. You've got Clinton, making the speech, and he's got too many women, and he got $100 million in the 8 years from 2000 to 2008. So you got this commentary on this leader, right? So this is why originally I was, just trying to kind of show that this book itself had superhuman origins, but eventually I was getting this is like real time stuff happening as I'm looking at this.
So what's some of the other things that you have here?
Okay. I'm going to give you one more thing on this same guy. This one.
You mean dear leader?
And this is Obama Nasi. Nasi is a word for president, and this word is here, and it's equally spaced here. This is the same thing. See, this is Obama. This is just giving it a wider spread, and this is the Obama. This is the Barack. You have Nasi here 3 times, and to have 3 of them in this kind of space, meaning president, is 1 chance in 450. So besides your 1 chance in 200, you have this 1 chance in 450. You got all those other words. And here I put out what the Hawaii looks like. See, this should be one letter later if it was equally spaced. But that would be how you would spell Hawaii. Okay? All right, so we're done with Obama.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
What?
More ways than none. We're done with him.
Let me. Let's see. What should we do next? Okay. Here's a story about. Oops. Yeah.
This is a slideshow of some kind. It looks like.
It looks like you
How do I
might
get
have
rid
to
of this?
X
Okay.
that first.
Okay. There you go. Okay. This is where I used to go to Torah study weekly, and the rabbis in Port Washington would take turns. And we had hired Rabbi Edelman, a female, in 2003. And she was doing Noah, which is the second. We go through the year. We do one portion a week, and we get through the whole Torah in a year. And she was doing Noah, and she told us she was pregnant. And she told us that she was going to have a girl in January, and she told us that she didn't want to know that, but the radiologist made a mistake. The radiologist told her and her husband, who wanted to be surprised. Okay? All right. So that was Saturday, and for some reason I decided to look for her code in the Hebrew Bible in that next day, Sunday, which begins the next week, happens to be and what I found happens to be in that portion for that week. This is the after Noah. You have the beginning story of Abraham. Okay, it says, and when Abraham was 99 years old, Adonai appeared to Abraham and said to this is Avram. This is before his name gets changed to Abraham. Avram, and says, I am Almighty Shaddai. Walk before me and be perfect. And Abraham at this point doesn't have any children with his wife Sarah. He does have a child with his handmaiden Hagar, who eventually becomes parent to the Arabs, Ishmael. But Abraham's 99 years old. His wife Sarah is 90. He says, and I will give my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you exceedingly. Now, this is a 99-year-old and a 90-year-old, and he's going to give him loads of kids, is what he's saying. And Avram fell on his face, and God spoke to him, saying, okay, so these are the three verses. So I'm looking for Edelman, and here's what I find. I find every 4 letters. This is B-T, bat, like bat mitzvah. Bat means daughter, okay? And then continuing every 4 letters for 5 more letters, A-D-L-M-N. So this is bat Edelman. That's all I got left?
Yep.
All right. At any rate, I wasn't entitled to this. What can I do here? I can't do much.
Let's just go ahead and finish this one.
Go
all right. Okay, so I send this in. With my daughter. My daughter goes to class with her on Tuesday nights. And I send this in, yellow it out in a Torah, in a book, every 4th letter. I said, look, your daughter's here, okay? But what I noticed was this. I said, and Abram fell on his face. Now, Abraham bowed down to God because he was, he was reverent, and he fell on his face. That's what that means. But I had heard recently at that time that a pregnant woman had fallen down. They're carrying all that extra weight,
right.
So, but I didn't tell her about this. Anyway, I'm driving my daughter, Maddie, home 2 weeks later, and she says, Rabbi Edelman told us a story. She was home. She tripped over some newspaper. She fell on the floor, but she was so heavy that she didn't want to get up, and there was a remote control near her, so she turned it on, and she decided she would wait on the floor until her husband came home to help her up. So essentially, I was worried that she would. This is the only time I came close to predicting anything with this stuff. I was worried that this woman would fall. 2 weeks later, she falls. My daughter, she tells the story to the class. Maybe it's lame, maybe it's funny, maybe she told it well. But for some reason, my daughter told me, 15-year-olds don't necessarily talk to their parents, But that was another coincidence here. One more coincidence. 2 years later, so I showed this all to her. 2 years later, she has twins. And we also have the word here, ta'umim, 6-letter word, going backwards. We have this here. I make that about 100 to 1 to be here. In the same verse about descendants. Finally, I would say that this Bat Edelman, to be equally spaced at 4 letters or less, close like this, anywhere in the Torah, given the whole 3, it's about 1 chance in 200. Mm-hmm. So you have all these coincidences. You have that it was discovered during the time of the portion. You have that. What interests me sometimes is when mistakes are made that cooperate to a good result. So you had this radiologist who tells us it's a woman, and I'm not really entitled to that, but that's why it's Bat Edelman. You have the twins coming in later, here. And, okay, anyway, but that's like a real person alive today.
What does, all right, so what does this all mean? I mean, why have they left this? Why has the creator or the aliens or whoever? Why have they left this information, and how does this help us in the long run?
I have very high regard for this book. I've studied this book since 1999.
Uh-huh.
I think it's a good method of living.
What about some of the laws, like in what's the law book? Leviticus?
Yeah. There's
what are some of the silly laws that just don't seem to jive with today's, the way that we do business today? I mean, how do you feel about those? Like, go and stone your wife who is.
We're out of time, I think.
That's the timer.
Oh wow, that was aggravating. Yeah, what about the laws that say you go and stone your adulterous wife, but don't worry about adulterous men? Or what about the
stone your children also if you have a drunken child, and it never happened.
Or a child who sees you in the nude or whatever, or
that was Noah's kids.
You're not allowed to wear a cotton polyester blend T-shirt,
or don't eat seafood or pigs.
Right.
I mean,
well, I don't. That's one thing I do because I have enough. That's something I can do, so I do it.
Well, what about the cotton wool blend clothing? Do you wear clothing with mixed fabrics?
I don't pay attention to that. But
okay,
that is. But in general, I think most of it is, and I could give you. There's so much more theory here that I could go into, like a theology that I've adopted because a belief in God. Until 1999, mm-hmm. I was. God just wasn't on my radar screen until I found this stuff, and
did you practice? Were you born into a practicing belief?
I was bar mitzvahed, but once I became 13, they give you a whole bunch of rules. They don't give you a whole bunch of meaning. There's a lot of confusion, like you guys say.
Sounds like law in general.
Yeah.
Just laws that we grow up with. That they don't. They just say just follow the law, or the man will come and get you, but they don't tell you why to follow the law.
Right. Right. So when you're a teenager, especially, you don't want a whole lot of rules without meaning. You want the synagogue I came from. They did a lot of work on this to try to increase meaning in Judaism and to try to. But this led me to. I approached the rabbi. I had never set foot in the synagogue. Uh-huh. My wife had signed up my daughters. I wasn't going to be a hypocrite. I wasn't going to go. But then when this came up, my oldest daughter was coming up to bat mitzvah. I was kind of shaky because I'd never been in the synagogue. And I approached the rabbi, and he invited me to Torah study, which I'd been going to since 1999. So I know the book very well, and I have very, very high regard for it. And I think it's I think this is a manner of it asserting itself to get more people to pay attention and to have more moral lives. And it's something I think we need today, especially when we're empowered through our technology.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So that's where I am. Okay.
Dara, what do you think about it all?
I think it's interesting, and I still don't know if it's coincidence or what. I have no clue.
I think it's really neat. I'm not going to stop what I'm doing and do any more research on it because I don't, first of all, I don't like anyone telling me what my future has entailed for me because I want to make my own decisions. And I don't want something, laid out in the stars.
But if somebody tells you
already foretelling what my future is.
Hey, Conan, next week something really good's going to happen to you.
Yeah, but they can also say something really bad is going to happen to me.
I don't think it works that way. I think what we live in 3 or 4 dimensions, right?
Mm-hmm.
We live in the space and we live in time, and time goes.
So you're saying there are more definitions, there are more outcomes that could be listed in this. The same screenshot right here.
I think you have to think about time differently. I think you have to think about time like it's a timeline in a book. You think if you're God, let's say you're sitting outside of time, you're watching it go by, just like you might look at a historic timeline in a book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you might look in a historic. So I think you make your decisions independently of time. This says what your decisions are or were, but you're deciding. You do have free will. Although I do think God intercedes from time to time, but you do have free will.
I like to think of it sort of as a play where certain parts of the play are laid out and all of the actors are ad-libbing, but all right, at the end of scene 3, you guys are going to go to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
However you decide that you get to the beach is up to you. What you do once you get to the beach is up to you, but this is something that must happen during the play.
That's right. And scene 4, zombie apocalypse.
No, there is no fucking zombie apocalypse, you fucking bastard.
I like your analogy. I think that fits with the way I think about things.
I'm much more agreeable with that one.
So
hey,
tell us about emails. Somebody sent you some emails.
Yeah, we got some emails. Actually, they weren't exactly emails, but
one was. I said I wanted to let you know your show is awesome. That's an email.
It was a YouTube message. So to be specific, it was not an email.
Just wanted to say that your show is awesome.
Oh, shut up. All right, so this one's from Nick. Dear, just wanted to say that your show is awesome. I'm on the other side of the country from Keene, but am always glad to see individuals getting together to discuss how bad the current system is. Anyways, I wanted to send you a link to this song that I think you will really like. It's off of comedian Trevor Moore's comedy album that came out in 2013. The whole album is great, and I recommend you check it out. But definitely give this song a listen. I'm sure you will dig it. Trevor Moore is one of the whitest kids you know. I was already aware of him. He did a song about the founding fathers and smoking herb, because according to Trevor Moore and some other historians, the founding fathers were deeply interested in cultivating weed and making
they called it hemp,
making the heaviest and strongest strain that they could come up with, because it was in that and grapes to make wine, and beer or barleys and whatever to make beer,
hops. Although you can make beer with cannabis.
I think you make beer with everything, right? Even probably like potatoes and stuff, or is it just hard alcohol? But anyways. The song,
cannabis and hops are actually closely related.
The song that Nick recommended is something about time for guillotines.
Guillotine.
Can I not say guillotines?
No.
Guillotine.
Guillotine.
But like with a French accent, guillotine.
Guillotine.
Yeah, guillotine.
Guillotine.
I listened to it twice just to make sure that I was sure of myself. I do not like it. I'm sorry, Nick. He reminds me too much of Remy. That he's always on. He's kind of a Tea Party-ish politician. He does a lot of comedy stuff.
I don't know who you're talking about.
I like Trevor Moore's Whitest Kids You Know skits. I think they're brilliant. I like his stance. I like the way that he doesn't hold back when he's attacking the man. He lets them know. The Founding Fathers video, which is a silly rap, which I'll put both of these songs in the show notes, of course, and let you guys get a little taste. I think it's all right. I mean, it's not something I will listen to more than once, but I think overall the whole. I don't know. It's too serious. It's like taking a very comical political look. He's of course suggesting that all of the emperors, the leaders and whatnot, it's time for guillotines. It's time for guillotines to take care of all these guys you've gone off track. But he's doing it very comically. He's doing it in a serious mode with a serious voice, and it just I don't know. It just it's not like Lonely Island because they're doing a very comical. They're doing very comical skits. And which one are you clicking on, if any?
What did you learn?
We've got to fit this in.
We've got to fit this in because we only have 14 minutes left. I think we had more. I think we had more than enough time to do another email. We can do another email after I do this. What did I learn? Oh shit. Something about Bible code. Maybe not Bible code. Joe, what did you learn tonight? You know, offhand?
No. No.
Darryl, we got to get away with this.
It's late
horrible.
for me. It's very late for me.
I learned that Conan is even more infatuated with zombie apocalypse than I previously thought.
Oh shit! Why? And why do you think?
Because you brought it up so many times tonight. And you're so convinced that there's going to be some kind of zombie apocalypse.
I told you it's not specifically zombies.
But you keep saying zombie apocalypse.
I only say zombies to make it attractable. I only want people to hear the zombie part and they're immediately interested in what I have to say. The apocalypse is something
I think you just lose a lot of people.
No, the apocalypse part is the part that I want to intercede, or I want to bring into the conversation. And by doing that, I say zombies, and people are more receptive to my conversation now.
Some people might be. Some people would get turned off.
Yes, you're absolutely right, and most of those people I don't talk to often. There's someone else on the other side, in the Liberty community, who is better able to communicate.
You still talk to me, and I hate when you say zombie apocalypse every fucking show.
But someone like Rapture will be much more receptive to the idea of zombies, or Shauna, or anyone else. It's just you. So now Joe and you might have a better opportunity of introducing Liberty ideas to the peoples, the sheeples, with however way. Maybe you have some kind of. I remember one time you had a Game of Thrones theory where she was talking about the old slaves and all, and the slaves throwing down their chains and stuff. You used that and you ran with it. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not saying there's going to be a dragon apocalypse to get people to pay attention to it.
That wouldn't work with your formula. So of course you wouldn't go that route. I might go that route because that's more of my way. But you wouldn't.
I just think that you're obsessed with an apocalypse.
I am not obsessed with the apocalypse. I'm obsessed with reality, and I see reality as being maybe switching to a much darker times, just like history has foretold. History repeats itself.
Yes.
And not too long ago, there was a serious dark ages that overcame the globe.
But I wouldn't necessarily say that the Middle Ages was an apocalypse.
Well, I think that if you were living in a time where life was meaningless, and that all art was nothing but death, and there was and everyone's waking days was nothing but dreaming of a day that I would die and go to heaven. Those are some pretty.
You don't know that that's what it was like.
When you read the history books and when you look at the art, that's exactly what it was like. They worshipped death.
Yeah, and so do a bunch of fucking emo kids that listen to Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, a couple of them. I'm talking about when all of society is doing it. You know, something must have been going on. When the lifespan was 25 or whatever it was. Yeah, something was going on. Something horrific was going on. Those are some times that I wouldn't want to live in.
I didn't say that everything was rainbows and butterflies.
I'm thinking if you were growing up in those days, you would have thought that it was the apocalypse and that the rapture was right around the corner and that Jesus was going to be coming down. It was going to be rescuing us all.
People have been thinking that for 2,000 years.
Yeah, but that's all they talked about back in the day. Hey, Joe.
Walking Dead. You guys watch that or not?
He does.
I haven't finished it. I haven't finished the third series. I have many problems with it.
Why is the show so popular? That's what I can't
exactly.
understand.
It's horrible acting. It's not staged well. Everything's
disgusting.
Well, I don't know if it's It is, well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think it's.
With the first of all with the zombies,
with brains get blown up all
them
over
in the heads and all the blood and stuff.
I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with the acting.
Oh, yeah.
I have a problem with the way that the actors change from episode to episode. Yeah. It's because there's multiple directors and they all have a different interpretation of what is going on, and they're writing their cast differently every single day or every single week. That is.
Yeah, I've only seen a few of these. I haven't. But I know. So, but people really like this. I don't understand.
There are better shows out there. Hey, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones,
no.
I highly recommend it.
Yes.
There's a lot of boobs. There's a lot of blood. So if that bothers you, don't watch it. But the acting is superb. The plot superb. There's the fictional embodiment that it encapsulates is superb. I've told you I'm not a fan of the books. I think the books are boring. I'm getting ready to re-listen to them, just because I'm running out of things to listen to.
Right.
So I'll be able to update everyone on if maybe I've changed my mind in the last 5 years since I read them last. But the movies, the shows. I say movies. They're so long. They're movies, but I mean the series.
Yes.
I really get a good kick out of. Hey, what did I learn tonight? I had it. Okay. No, skip me. I forgot. I had it too.
2 books.
No, I don't remember what it was. Hey, we had one more email.
Did Joe ever tell us what he learned?
Which was really short.
I'm like, it's too late. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It's too late. It's too late in the day there, Mr. Darrell.
You suck.
Because
that's what I learned is that you fucking suck.
Sam also wrote in, and he wanted. We were talking about music the other week. Both of these emails coincide with the fact that we were talking about music and political music in general.
Okay.
About choir society stuff. And Sam wrote in, and I do believe that this is his little chant here.
Yes.
We were talking about Santorum. Am I saying his name right?
Yes. Yes, you are.
And we were talking about the fact that his name is very special if you Google it and look it up. And the first search there is very particular to his name.
UrbanDictionary.com.
So this is
that's all you need to know. UrbanDictionary.com.
This is a little song, and it's played to the theme, one of the Oliver songs. And it goes like this. Go Google yourself. Don't dodge. And that's all I know. And I don't even know how to say this next word. Is that Liebenschwitt?
Liebenschwitt.
Liebenschwitt? Go Google yourself, Senator Liebenschwitt.
I don't know. I don't know.
And Sam has a lot of choir society songs that if anyone's interested in going...
Choir society?
What did I say? Shire society.
You said choir society like 3 times.
Yeah, that's those are the guys who are competing at the Hogwarts, the choir society. They're also magicians.
I think you mean Shire choir.
Exactly. Shire is...
Shire choir.
Shire.
Now you're doing it intentionally. You dumbass.
So if you want to go to the State House and you need some songs to sing at the folks, maybe something pro-weed or anti-state or whatever, go to this site. I'll go ahead and I think he listed the site. I'm not sure. Sam, thanks for the link. I'll go ahead and put this in the show notes. And I'm not going to sing any of these at the State House. I'm not of that caliber. I'm a little I'm scared of the attention I might get. I'll let Daryl and Ian sing that crap for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know what I learned tonight, dude. I'm sorry. I did come up with something and I can't remember what it was. I don't have any excuse for Joe.
You suck.
Joe knows the layout. He's watched this show before. He knows what we do.
All right, so
he knows this thing that we do.
From now on, I'm just going to get you a notebook so that you can take notes throughout the show.
That would be beneficial. Absolutely. beneficial, and I will get on that. Daryl. Hey, you've been watching Black Sheep Rising. You can find us at blacksheeprising.org. The archives, the audio, the show notes, everything is there for you. If you want to leave us a message, you can do it in multiple of ways. You can leave it at the website.org. You can leave it at the Facebook space.
On the Facebook.
You can leave a direct message at show@blacksheeprising.org, or, and God damn it, guys, you got to get on this, man. So you can leave us a voicemail at 267-521-2771. Leave us anything you want. It doesn't necessarily have to be creative, like I've been saying. It could be anything. Just do it, man.
You could just call and say, Conan, you fucking suck, you retarded bastard. Why don't you ever remember what you fucking learned, you piece of shit?
And why can't you speak English? God.
So that doesn't come during the show, though, right?
What's that?
The voicemail? I mean, could you pick up a voicemail in the middle of a show?
I could get
in theory.
I could get an email, but I won't answer it till the show's over. So someone might have just voicemailed us just now. So no, I wouldn't get it during the show.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out that technology yet.
Okay.
I guess sometime in the near future we can set up.
We have the technology. I can show you how to use it.
We can do it. I just haven't figured it out because it's not that important to me.
We have the technology.
We most definitely have it.
Yes.
Daryl, FPP.cc.
Yep.
Joe, do you have any plugs you want to leave to the people of Earth?
Nothing I can think of right now.
Google Bible code.
Question you asked about the things in the Bible that we don't agree with today.
Mm-hmm.
We may not understand what we're reading. Is a cop out, but that's kind of what's used.
You mean like eating pork and shellfish?
Well, I don't know. I don't do that, but it's. I'm more concerned with the Leviticus thing about like a man lying with a man. I'm more concerned with that, or some of these stoning things that you're talking about.
Yeah.
People get stoned, but those rules were never followed. Those.
I think they might not have been followed. Well, I don't know about that. I didn't live 4,000 years ago.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't say never, but I would say probably not to.
I think they might have cut
letter.
Yeah, they might have cut corners here and there, but I'm thinking
Yes.
that.
Yeah, and there were some peoples were supposed to be wiped out that didn't get wiped out, and so. But I think there's a lot we don't understand. But I think there's a lot there's too much there that's good to ignore it.
Right, Joe. Thanks for being on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Very interesting topics. I'll go ahead and watch some more documentaries. I got some more that I want to watch. Very, very interesting stuff. I don't know that I'm on board, but it's most definitely interesting.
Yeah.
Daryl, of course. You at home, thank you for watching. We're going to leave you tonight with System of a Down, Lost in Hollywood. And thank you for watching. We'll see you next week. Good night.
I'll wait here, you're crazy. Those vicious streets are filled with strays. You should have never gone to Hollywood. They find you to time you. Say you're the best they've ever seen. You should have never trusted Hollywood. Gone
Hold on, you're off. Hold on. No. All right, now you're on.
What?
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 Last week, you messaged me last week. I got everything set up, and I failed to hit the record button like a dumbass.
Don't forget the record button, dumbass.
Yeah, I wrote it on my thing. Underlined it. Okay, we've got the sketchiness in Nashua. Are you familiar with this story? The duck killer.
That we don't even know if he fucking killed any ducks because nobody showed a fucking dead duck.
I thought there were some pictures of some ducks.
No.
So how do they? So who called about the duck? Who was the initial caller?
Let's do the damn story.
Why does this piss you off so much?
Fucking Republicans. That's why.